Hello and welcome into Devils in Detail headquarters here at the beautiful Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm Hunter Robinson. On this week's show, we're talking men's and women's basketball, hockey, softball, and baseball. So let's get started. The men's and women's basketball team are gearing up for the Pac-12 tournament. While the men aren't expected to do much, the women are being looked at as a possible dark horse to win the whole thing. With the women's tournament starting Thursday, it is time for them to figure out their regular season struggles and put those behind them. For the men, they have a home game against the Arizona Wildcats this weekend before they take off for Las Vegas, where they will look to play upset and maybe give people a reason to believe in the future of Arizona State men's basketball. I'm now joined by men's basketball contributor Zach McHale and women's basketball contributor Jordan Kay to preview the upcoming schedule for ASU basketball. Thank you two for joining me. So Jordan, I'll go ahead and start with you. So the women, they got back a critical part of their team in Kelsey Moose. She really seems to have, given the offense more stabilization for these past 2 weeks. What have you seen from her?
She's let the offense flow. By adding another forward to the starting lineup, Charlie Turner-Thorne has made the ASU team much bigger, and Kelsey Moose is able to spread the floor because all she does is go sit in the corner, and then when the guards drive in, they can pop it right out to her. She is pretty good from three-point. She had a very big one against USC, and she really spreads the floor. She's an all-out team player. She will just go and get rebounds, do the dirty work, and she is the best defender that ASU has. So in this Pac-12 tournament, they're going to look to put Kelsey Moose on whoever the other team's best player is. She gives a stability factor to this ASU offense that it's been missing.
Alrighty, and then Zach, so on the men's side, they have one more regular season game remaining before the Pac-12 tournament. They will be hosting the University of Arizona. What are you expecting in that game?
Well, I'm expecting a bit of a tight game, actually. Last week, I was very pessimistic about how they would play against the Los Angeles schools, and they played UCLA very tight, played a top 5 team at home, and only trailed by 2 late in the second half before falling by 12. And then they came back and stunned USC down 10 in the final 3 minutes, came back and won by 1 on Trey Holder's heroics for the second time this year now. I really think that the Sun Devils will challenge them for a majority of this game. I think Holder, Evans, Justice, I think those 3 guards have been playing lights-out basketball. I think the team is really starting to gel, and as they realize that Andre Adams and Ramon Villa are stable big men, they present a bit of a threat. But for the majority of the game, I think that Arizona's bigs of Dusan Ristic and Lauri Markkanen are going to be overwhelmingly talented players, and will be able to handle them down the stretch and take the game.
All right, so Jordan, the next game for the women's team will be on Thursday in the first round of the Pac-12 tournament. How do you think they're going to fare in Seattle?
It's going to be really interesting to see. Their first matchup is against Utah, an inferior opponent that they beat 66-44 last time they played. And then their next game, they're going to get UCLA. And UCLA just beat them in the last game of the season, but it wasn't by that much. ASU was up at halftime. So it's going to be a really close game. And with Kelsey Moose coming back, it's really given rest to ASU's 2 best players, Sophie Bruner and Quinn Dorsater. And so they're going to be rested for this Pac-12 tournament. They're going to have a couple days to practice. Moose hasn't really practiced with the team that much since he just came back in the middle of the Pac-12 play. So with this time off, they're going to be able to practice. And I think it's going to be interesting to see because if they get past UCLA, then they match up with Oregon, who is a great team, but ASU matches up good with them. Oregon State, ASU's big, and they have the people down low to possibly get the job done against Oregon State and maybe make a run for the Pac-12 title.
All right, so then finally, Zach, ASU, they're going to finish in about the middle of the Pac-12, and they will inevitably have to face a difficult opponent in the Pac-12 tournament. So how do you think they compete against these better teams in the Pac-12?
Oh, I think history has shown itself throughout the season. They've lost by 1 in Eugene. Their worst loss this season was actually a home loss to Cal, but other than that, they really have held their own against UCLA twice, USC twice, Cal once, Oregon, and Arizona the first time. I really do believe that this is a team that if they shoot the ball as well as they really can, which is around that 50% range from deep, and make the most of their turnovers, this is a team we could really see on day 3 of the tournament in some way or another.
Alrighty, well, we'll have to see how both teams do in the Pac-12 tournament. Thank you two for joining me. Well, Another season has come and gone for Arizona State hockey, and what a season it was. They beat 2 top 25 teams, won a total of 10 games, and tied 3 games. They were also competitive in a majority of their games. For head coach Greg Powers, he has got to be happy with the way his team performed in only their second season as an NCAA Division I program. This past weekend, they ended their season with 2 exhibition games against the United States under-18 national team. While they didn't come out on top Friday, dropping that game 5-3, they ended their season with an exclamation point as they beat the under-18 national team 6-3 on Saturday. I'm now joined by Ethan Schmidt and Nicholas Batters for the final time this season to help me talk about where the hockey program is heading into the future. Thank you two for joining me. So Nick, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with you. What a season for ASU hockey. What's your biggest takeaway from this season?
I mean, I think nobody really knew what to expect going into this season because they had played a hybrid schedule last year. They hadn't played a full season at the NCAA level. They knew this had been a team that was very good at the club level, but not really sure what to expect. So there were, frankly, no expectations. And they succeeded. They won 10 games. They beat a ranked Air Force team, and they tied a ranked Ohio State team. They had good games against Western Michigan and Quinnipiac. They played really strong on the ice. They improved all season long. And if you look at the team that was on the ice from the Air Force or the Notre Dame series at the beginning to the team that we saw at the end of the season, it looked like a completely different team, which is a great direction for this program to be headed in.
All right, so then Ethan, ASU, they played a lot of ranked opponents this season. What's the difference you saw from when they faced those ranked opponents to when they faced unranked opponents?
Well, yeah, Hunter, Nick already mentioned all the tough opponents that they took, but it was very obvious that they were getting better throughout the season. Despite going 2-17-2 against ranked opponents, I think it really helped develop this young unit for upcoming seasons. And the record shows against unranked opponents that they went 8-2-1. So they're right there on the line. It's just a matter of getting used to these really fast physical teams that are going to be top-notch and who they're going to be playing in full-time Division I hockey. So going forward, it's just going to be getting over that step. And I mean, they would have 2 more ranked wins if those ties against Ohio State and Western Michigan counted as wins, because they did win the game, but despite the rules, yeah. But going forward, it's just going to be about just whether they could pull out those close games and fix the little mistakes going forward.
All right, so Nick, Ethan talked about that young unit that ASU has. So what are you expecting in the immediate future with this unit only getting, inevitably stronger, faster? They're gonna be learning how to compete on a major level.
Mark my words, this is going to be a college hockey school in a few years. This program is doing phenomenal things right now. They're following the Penn State model. Penn State's only been a D1 NCAA team for 5 years now, and ASU, they're following that model. They played a year of independent hockey, and they're going to try and look to join a conference in the near future, and they're headed in the right direction. With those games and the experience that you get, you're going to get faster on the ice, and just playing those good teams, you're going to get better. So this is a team that I don't think they'll make the Frozen Four or any playoff games in the next couple of years, but by, I think, our senior season in 3 or 4 years, I think this is a team that has the potential to be ranked. They're young, only 4 graduating players, so much to look forward to for the future of this team.
All right, so Ethan, what do you think that ASU needs to improve on next season in order to continue building, this Penn State model of a program?
Yeah, just following that Penn State blueprint, they already took the right steps, taking on the challenge of all these top-notch Division I opponents. We talked about it all season. It really built the character, and I think this young team is happy that they took the road less traveled, the tough route, really instill character into these guys, and they want to go and play these teams. You want to be known, and you want to put your program on the map. That's the way to do it. And so you can know that it's just gonna get better every year. I mean, especially with the young unit. Nick said only 4 seniors left. That it's when they stay together and they play tough opponents, it's just gonna increase how well they play as a unit going forward.
Alrighty, guys. Well, for the final time, thank you two for joining me this season. Here's hoping that something interesting happens during the off season, so I can bring you two back on. Thank you two for joining me. The baseball and softball season is in full swing for Arizona State. The baseball team traveled to Fort Worth this past weekend to take on TCU, the #1 team in the nation. In the first game of the 3-game weekend series, the Sun Devils shocked the world by coming out on top over TCU 13-9. The rest of the weekend didn't follow suit, however, as the Sun Devils lost the remaining 2 games. Over on the softball side of things, the Sun Devils continued their dominant beginning to the season by going 3-2 in the Mary Nutter Classic, with both of those losses coming against top 25 teams. I'm now joined by baseball contributor Nicole Eldridge and softball contributor Killian McClatchy to help me break down this past weekend for the baseball and softball team. Thank you two for joining me. So Killian, I'll go ahead and start with you. The softball team, they go 3-2 this past weekend. What did you see from the team?
You know, I saw a lot of good things. You know, like you mentioned, they went 3-2, and you also mentioned, you know, they did lose to the 2 top 25 teams. One of those being number 18, Texas A&M, lost to them in 9 innings, 2-1, and the other one was number 14, Michigan, 3-0, and we'll see Michigan again next week in another tournament. But the pitching was solid per usual. You know, Dale Rindak won her start, and another person I've been really impressed with is freshman Alyssa Loza. She improved to 3-0. She had a 3-hit complete game shutout against UCSB, which was a really impressive game for her. And it was just a big weekend to see how they stacked up against the competition around the nation. And so that was a big thing. Last year they started off hot as well, and it seemed like they reached that point where they finally started to go on that decline, and they couldn't really get it picked up in Pac-12 play. These big tournaments early on in the season, the way that they've played really well, and they've been able to win all these games. I think it proves that this team is on the up and up, and they should be able to compete in Pac-12 play once it starts.
All right, so then Nicole, over to you. Andrew Shaps, he returned to the lineup this past weekend after serving a team-imposed suspension for reasons that are, unknown to the media. What does that mean for ASU baseball having Shaps back in the lineup?
Well, throwing it back to last year, Shaps appeared in 57 games and had 68 hits. And he was a Pac-12 honorable mention with a .321 batting average. And so when he appeared again this past game, he went 2-3 with 2 walks and scoring 2 runs. So I think if he keeps it up and keeps playing like he did last year and just again this past game, I think that it'll be an advantage for the Sun Devils having him back in the lineup.
All right, so then Killian, Taylor Becerra, she's having a really good season for the softball team so far. What would it mean for this team if she continues to produce at her current level?
You know, it'd be huge for this team. You know, you got a lot of players. You got Chelsea Gonzalez and Margaret Stam. They're producing there. They're the run scorers. Becerra, she leads the team in batting average now. It used to be Gonzalez. Becerra took that over this last weekend. She's now hitting .432, which is extremely impressive this, kind of deep into the season, so to say. But she hits at the bottom of the lineup right now, which I think is a good spot for her now. She's able to, there's not as much pressure about being at the top of the lineup. She can just get on base, and it, puts her on base for the table setters up at the top of the lineup already. But I would like to see at some point during the season possibly giving her a chance to move up in the lineup, possibly the 1 or 2 hole, because with her hitting as well as she is, and if she continues to stay that hot, if she can constantly get on base up at the top of the lineup, that's going to give Chelsea Gonzalez and Margaret Stam opportunities to drive her in. And, offense, in order to win games, you need to score runs, and that's one of the tougher things for the Sun Devils right now. And with her up at the top, I feel like that could be a really good opportunity to get that team going.
All right, and then finally, Nicole, Spencer Van Scoy has been having, a great season so far for ASU. What have you seen from the freshman that gives you reason to be excited for his future?
Well, he just broke his career record, and he had 4 strikeouts in the Sunday game against TCU. And he was a strong starter because he went 6 innings with 2 walks and 1 unearned run. But then that unfortunately ended when he was taken out of the game, and this final score was 5-2. But other than that, I think that he will be a strong starter for the Sun Devils.
Alrighty, well, we'll have to see how softball does this weekend, and we'll have to see how baseball rebounds from after this TCU series. Thank you two for joining me. Well, that's our show. Thank you for joining us, and you can keep up with everyone that appeared on the show by reading their articles on devilsindetail.com. You can keep up to date with everything Arizona State athletics by following Devils in Detail on Twitter at @Devils_detail. Make sure to subscribe to the Devils in Detail YouTube page to be notified first about all of our videos, including roundtable discussions about your favorite Arizona State sports. Again, thank you for joining us, and from everyone here in Phoenix, I'm Hunter Robinson saying we hope to see you again soon.